So I'm going to show you how I make my slightly healthier mulled wine recipe. It's got less sugar than normal recipes and more of the really health-giving spices. So it's super easy to make. What we're going to do is we're going to start with a couple of oranges. Now, if you can get organic oranges, great, because they do tend to be coated normally in some kind of post-harvest treatment. So if you have to use conventional oranges, just make sure that you scrub them really well. You can use a little bit of washing up liquid, scrub them, and then rinse them off, because you're going to be simmering the actual outside of the skin, so you need to make sure that it's really clean. So this one I've peeled and I've just popped it in the pan here. You can see this is the outer peel of the orange, and I've also peeled a lemon. So again, the same thing, you can use an organic unwaxed lemon if you can, otherwise give it a really good scrub and then peel it. So this one I've already peeled, and then I'm just going to do another little bit just from the edge here. Now, if you've got my e-guide, which is the Happy Healthy Christmas, you will find this recipe there. This recipe actually is designed for parties, so it makes enough for maybe, 8 to 10 people. Maybe up to 12, so because I'm using 2 bottles of red wine for this recipe, but obviously I don't have that many people this year to make it for, so I'm just going to halve the quantity. So instead of using 2 oranges, I'm just using 1. I've got 1 in there, and I've got the peel of half a lemon now, and I'm going to use 50 grams of caster sugar. So basically the idea is that you make this lovely spiced citrusy syrup and boil that all up together so that you get the flavours really infusing well before you add the alcohol, because obviously if you start boiling the wine, then you're going to boil off a lot of the alcohol. So I'm going to use in there, I've got my sugar and my citrus fruits. I'm going to add in here a couple of sticks of cinnamon. Cinnamon, I'm just going to break in half just like that. Oh, releases that amazing smell, really Christmassy, festive smell. I'm going to use a pinch of nutmeg. I'm just using powdered nutmeg here, but that's pre-grated, but you can get a fresh nutmeg if you like and just grate it in there. I'm going to use a handful of cloves, quite like cloves, so I'm going to use just a few extra, just because I like the flavour of it. And I'm going to use a fresh bay leaf, so I'm just going to give this a bit of a scrumple up like this, just to release some of the bay aroma, because the essential oils are contained in the leaves. Then I'm going to add, what am I going to add? Cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, sugar. That is it. So let me just add a little bit more of the juice. So once you've got the peel of the orange juice, you actually want the orange juice itself. So not just the peel, but you do actually want the orange juice. I mean, you could make it if you wanted with bottled orange juice. That would be fine. But seeing as you're going to use the skin, you may as well juice the rest of the orange, to be honest. So I've just juice that, add that in there, and then I'm going to pop all this onto the hob, and you want to kind of really get that heated quite nicely, because you want the sugar here to melt. If you want to come and take a look, you can see that I've got the sugar in there with the citrus zest and the spices, the cloves and the cinnamon and the bay leaf. And that's combining with the orange juice, and you really want that to bubble away, so you end up with this really good thick syrup. And if you want to, you can actually make more of the syrup, and then you can keep it, so it's something that you could keep in a bottle or in a jar in the fridge right the way through the holiday season, and then you've always got it there to add to your mulled wine. It's like a ready-made mulled wine mixture. Bit of a tongue twister. Now, once that has all melted, I'm then actually going to add the final ingredient to this, which is going to make it extra Christmassy, and that is the star anise. And star anise gives it this really nice kind of aniseedy flavour, as the name suggests. So they look like little stars, really pretty little things, and when you smell them, oh my goodness, they've got that real aniseedy, spicy, they're very warming, so they're a little bit like cinnamon or ginger. They've got that real nice spice to them, and this recipe actually calls for 5. That's if you're making the full amount, so I'm going to use 2 and a bit star anise, and pop those in there, give those a stir up. and you will soon smell it in the kitchen because these really release the most amazing flavour. Have that boiling away. And ideally you want to let this boil away for a few minutes so that the flavour infuses. The longer you cook it for, the longer you're going to get the spices to infuse, and you're going to get the more of the flavour that comes out into the mixture. So you can easily keep that bubbling away for 5 to 10 minutes. Just make sure it doesn't burn. You don't want it to catch. Now I've got some red wine, which I'm going to add to make the mulled wine. You obviously do not need to use your best, most expensive wine. Any old wine will do. I've got something cheap and cheerful, nice screw cap here. I'm actually using a Merlot, and it's interesting when you look at the polyphenol properties of red wine, which have been linked to better gut health. And Merlot was one of the ones because it's a very dry red wine, which is supposed to be better for gut health. It's also got lots of the resveratrol, which is the antioxidant, which has also been linked to better health. So I'm going to use a whole bottle of red wine in that mixture, and then I'm going to use about 250 ml of water as well. Now, of course, you don't have to make an alcoholic version. You could do a non-alcoholic version. So here, if you wanted to make one without alcohol, I've got some really nice, good quality, cloudy apple juice. And then to turn it into the mulled wine colour, I've got some beetroot juice. So I'm just going to add that like that. Not too much beetroot juice, otherwise it'll overpower the flavour. But look, you can use that with the same syrup, and you'd have something that absolutely looks like mulled wine and tastes delicious. And you've also got all the vitamins, of course, from the juices. So it's a win-win. So back to the stove. This has all bubbled down really nicely here. You can see that. You may not be able to smell it, but you should be able to see just how well all those juices and spices are incorporating. And you can see the skins of the citrus fruits. They're really softening and cooking down into the mixture. That's why it's important to make sure they're really clean, because anything that's been sprayed or put onto the skins of those citrus fruits is obviously going to end up in your drink. But we have scrubbed those really well, so nice and clean. Then you need a ladle and you need your spoon for stirring. Now at this point, if you want to, you could just separate off the juice, because this is the really lovely juicy mixture that's giving you that flavour. But I'm actually going to mix it all together in the pan just to be easier. I'm going to add the water first, and that will just cool down the liquid, so I'm not going to be overheating the wine and taking away the alcohol content. And then I can add the wine on top of this. The whole bottle goes in. And then I'm just going to pop that back on the stove just to heat up again, just for a little bit longer, because obviously mulled wine is best served warm. And it is really beginning to smell good now. This really smells Christmassy. I just think you can't beat a glass of mulled wine, especially if you come in the evening and it's cold outside and you just want something warm and festive. And of course, if you want to reduce the alcohol content, you could throw in some more fruit juice. You could add a little bit more of the water. So it's entirely up to you. It's one of those things that you can adapt it to suit your own taste and your own needs. So once that has been warmed through, take it off the heat. And then to serve it, I've got some glasses here. It's quite nice to put a little bit of fresh orange around the rim of the glass. So I've got here one of my oranges that was left over. I'll just slice it down quite thinly there and just cut it, make a little cut like that so I can twist it. So it goes over the edge of the glass. And then let's put these on here. And then you can use a ladle. I actually don't mind it if I get some of the spices in the glass. I think it shows that it's authentic, you know, if it's got a little bit of star anise floating around in it, or a clove bud, or a little bit of your orange or lemon peel. There we go. on there. The smell is just so good. It's so festive. It's one of those things, isn't it, that we just serve at Christmas time. There's no other time of the year really when we're serving mulled wine. So let's have a little taste. Oh, that is really good. That is really good. Spicy, not too sweet. Merry Christmas.